you guys, it's a fall chilly morning and I'm kicking the day off at the SoKY Marketplace with my family, and we're gonna pick up some fall produce, some fall plants like mums, and some gourds, one of my favorite things about fall. So let's go meet Groce Greenhouse and Produce, see what they have to offer. So tell us why you all do this.
Well, we do it because we enjoy it, and you're giving people what they really want, homegrown and locally, and they don't have to go too far to get it, and they know who grew your stuff. It's not coming from miles away, and it's just a family thing. We have the market at Glasgow down near the Barren that his daughter sets up, and her daughter goes with her, and they really enjoy it.
So it really is a family affair.
It is.
You guys all work together, and you split it up, and you're in Glasgow, and you're in Bowling Green too. And I love that. Why do you guys do that?
Well, we enjoy it for one thing. A lot of hard work. We enjoy it.
And so I know you said you got some grandkids that tag along sometimes, and they've learned some really important skills.
Kaden is 8 years old, and she has already learned to wait on people and count their money out and packs things to the car for them, and she just, thinks she's grown. She loves it.
There's a lot of life skills that can be learned.
It's teaching her, yes.
Yeah, and they watch you all work so hard too, and so hopefully skills they'll take with them forever. They'll use forever.
Let's hope so.
Now this is what you would normally see when you
I love
go
this
and
one.
buy a gourd. Now that's an apple gourd, but you see how it's kind of, has some mold and some age. This is a
flaky.
year, yes, and we want that because we want the gourd to dry out. So if you picked a gourd this year, we would not recommend painting that. It would need a year to cure and to dry out. And so this gourd is a year old, and so it's dried out. You can kind of hear the seeds when you shake it like that. And so now is the time to clean it. There's a couple ways we can do that. One is if we put this in a big flower pot full of potting soil. Doesn't matter what kind of potting soil. Leave it for 3 to 4 days. Get it out, and it should come off. The moisture of the potting soil after you water it, it'll kind of do that. But if you're impatient, we've had this soaking, and you have to get something that's a little bit heavier to kind of place on top. But we've had this gourd soaking for 30 minutes. It looked just like this one.
Okay.
Okay.
What's it
And
soaking in?
This is just water. I put a little detergent in here. You could also put just a little capful of bleach in there or vinegar, because especially if you're sensitive to mold. I have a mask here. I would encourage people to wear those, especially if they're sensitive to mold, because gourds will have a little bit of mold on them.
So when it's in the liquid, are you wanting it to be completely submerged? Do you want it to be all the way under?
Either that, or you take it and flip it,
And keep rotating.
because you want to make sure that it's kind of moist, and this is kind of what it would look like, once we scrape the whole thing. It takes a little bit of elbow grease to get in there and do that, but something like this, and this one has a lot of rough edges, so we want to sand this one down before I give it to you to make some beautiful creation out of it, okay? And so what we have here is just a little cotton bottom scrubber that we're going to use. Steel wool is a little abrasive, and so I wouldn't recommend to use that, but you just kind of get down here and scrape, and you can kind of see some of that leaving, and you can kind of see it on my glove. You just want to get all of that off, because that will interfere when you paint or put glitter on it or whatever.
It'll probably start to flake through the paint if you're going to do that.
Yes, and so you don't want that to happen. And so you just want to give it a really good scrape. And now this takes a while. And when you get up here, I might recommend that you get something without a handle on it, so you can kind of get in there and scrape, because you want to clean the stem as well, because the stem probably has some mold on it as well, and you just don't want that in your home.
Can you
for
scrape
years to
too
follow.
much?
No, this is a hard surface, and so the only thing, like the steel wool I was talking about, it being abrasive, sometimes it will cut into the gourd, and so you'll have some scratches. But those can be covered up with a little primer or some other type of painting technique that you have. Now, a lot of people like to make, birdhouses or something like that out of these. Absolutely, you can do that. You would just need to be really careful when you cut your hole, because it can split. And so you just want to be really careful with that. But these gourds are great. Paint them. I've seen a lot of people paint them like an apple and give to their teacher with their teacher's name on it or something like that. And so all very cute ideas, but see all the grime that we're kind of getting off of
Look at that.
We want all of that off.
And so once you scrape it, if you see that there's some areas like you have in this one here, that's when you would take your sandpaper and you would lightly sand over it to create that smooth finish.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, and just some light sandpaper. You don't really have to get in there, but you know, just so you don't have imperfections in your piece. And then we just take it and kind of wash some of that off of there in the detergent water.
So it's kind of a process. So you're going to take it out, and then are you going to scrape some more?
Yes. And see, in this area here, I still have some discoloration, and so I'm going to have to get in there and get that off before we take it and paint. Because the more of this you get off, the better prepared your gourd is. And so once you get it all scraped, just kind of how you like it, it's not going to look like this. We're going to set it out and it's going to turn back to its natural, more tan color. And so when it gets to that tan color, that's when we can go and we can really see where we might have missed. And you can always go back. See, I see a spot right there that I missed.
Now let me ask you, is there a trick to storing it? So they last forever, and if you're going to paint it similar to a pumpkin, you may store it with the rest of your fall decor in your attic. Is there a way, and how do we need to be aware to store it from season to season?
So if you pick a green gourd, the best way to store it is in a cool, well-ventilated area. You know, a basement, a cellar, a shop, any place like that. You don't want to put it in a really high, humid area that doesn't have good airflow, because you can have some soft spots in there, because you still have flesh on the inside, and there's seeds in there as well that has moisture. And so if it's in a really enclosed container or with no airflow, you can get soft spots there. So you don't want to do that. You want good airflow, just like you would store like winter squash or something like that. Store these gourds that way as well. Now you have to be patient because you have to wait till next year to get them to dry out and do your magic with them. But you know, you can find a lot of farms that have these that are dried. They look like this. And
but with a little elbow grease, you
right.
can make it look super cute.
Yes, and this one already looks better.
It does.
And so you can definitely do that. Just 30 minutes soaking time for this, rotate it around. You have to let it dry for a day once you scrape it, and then you're ready to decorate.
I've just painted this one solid orange, and I've used some of this tacky glue along with glitter, and by putting the tacky glue on with a paintbrush, you can sprinkle the glitter on top. It'll just stick to that area. Now, you probably do want to do this outside. I made the mistake of doing it in my craft room, and that wasn't good. And so then I've attached some coordinating ribbon at the top, and I'm going to do this along my fireplace mantle. If you've got kiddos involved, and you know, chalkboard is a really trendy thing, you could let them take a paintbrush with a chalkboard paint, and you could paint the perimeter, the entire outside of the gourd here, and then you could write something like your menu. So if you're having family over, you could put maybe your holiday menu on there, or you could do a cute little quote or whatever you like and you want to see. You could also find paint in a variety of colors where you could paint it solid and maybe do your initials, or like I said, the opportunities are endless in the ways that you can kind of find your creative inspiration with things that you have on hand. You don't have to spend a fortune in doing it, but definitely making sure that you preserve it and that it coordinates with the rest of your home.
Did you prime this, Brittany, or did you just paint it?
I just painted it, but the paint that I used for this, it's an acrylic paint, but this happened to be an indoor paint. And so you can find acrylic paint in both of those, but I chose the orange to be in or outdoor.
Absolutely, and these are normally used indoor. If we use them outdoor, the longevity of these might not be as long as we would like. Definitely this year, but it just might not last us year after year.
I love it.
All right, Brittany. Give Brittany a gourd like this, and she can make it into that. If you need more tips about decorating, contact the Extension office.